former Hawaii Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard is in East Palestine, eastern Ohio, to see the situation for herself, to offer some help and some experience, perhaps. She's now a Fox News contributor as she joins us now live. Congresswoman, thanks for being here. First of all, what do you see? What have you seen over your visit over the past day?
Yeah, Brett, I spent the day out here with residents of East Palestine, traveling and touring through the areas that have been most devastated by this toxic disaster. And I got to tell you, everything that they've been through, I'm just inspired by the hope and the resilience that they still show through it all. This community and those around it have turned out like nothing else to support each other, unfortunately, in the face of a lack of support really coming from the federal government. And that's the feeling I'm walking away with, is this deja vu sense that I've gotten over and over of how the American people in a time of disaster and catastrophe are left begging for basic support that they need and deserve from the government that's supposed to provide it to them. Today, we're seeing it in East Palestine, Ohio. We heard it from Jackson, Mississippi, with the water crisis that folks there face. We've heard it in my home state of Hawaii, when the military families dealt with contaminated water, with fuel. We see it, the 9/11 first responders who had to fight for years just to get basic care for the work that they did. And we see it still with my brothers and sisters in uniform who are coming down with cancers suffered from their exposure to toxins in the line of duty. So over and over again, we are unfortunately confronted with this reality that those in power don't care, and the people who are being affected by their decisions or their lack of action are forced to beg. We have people here in East Palestine getting $1,000 for an inconvenience fee. What an insult. And so it's no wonder people here are angered and they are frustrated at this failure of our own leadership to provide the services that they deserve, while they see President Biden go off to Ukraine and give them $500 million, leaving the people here behind wondering, what about us?
Yeah, you mentioned Hawaii. New York Times writes, in many East Palestinian skeptical official tests seeking out their own, the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry, an arm of the federal government's health department, will also launch an investigation assessing chemical exposure in the area. The most recent such assessment was done last year in Hawaii after gasoline and diesel range hydrocarbons were discovered in a well overseen by the Navy. So your message to them is, don't rush to the all clear, or don't buy the all clear if it comes.
That's exactly right, Brett. These families on Pearl Harbor and Hickam, those in the area, they were seeing these oily sheens in the water. They were filling up their pots to make dinner at night. Their babies were breaking out in rashes. Their pets were getting sick. And all the while, the Navy and those in power were telling them, don't worry about it. It's not a problem. These are just short-term problems. It's going to go away, we promise. But it didn't. And it turned out to be what we all thought it was, a very, very serious natural disaster that caused them all to evacuate for months before they could return home.
So last thing, obviously politics factors into all of this as we're getting ready to enter a presidential race. For the folks who say you're there and the former president's there, was there a coordination there?
No, not at all. I found out late last night that he was coming in today, but I agree with what the mayor said earlier, that politics will only divide people at a time when people really need to stand together as Americans and not allow any of the political gamesmanship to get in the way of really what these people need, and that is help, not just for today, not just for tomorrow, but I'm concerned about the kinds of cancers or illnesses that may come about in years to come because of the exposure that they are under due to this catastrophe.
Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard in East Palestine, we appreciate the time.
Thanks, Brett.